It's election season here in Winter Park again, and we have candidates running for mayor that we want you to meet on your mobile device or your computer. Today, we're with candidate Phil Anderson, and we have 3 questions for you. Welcome, Phil. Thanks for being with us today.
Glad to be
So,
here.
question number 1 is tell us about your background and experience that uniquely qualify you to be Winter Park's next mayor.
Thank you. You know, when I think about what it takes to be mayor and what my experience is, it really amounts to 2 or 3 things. You know, first of all, I was a city commissioner in 2008 to 2011. In the middle of the Great Recession, we were faced with a lot of gut-wrenching decisions that we had to make the budgets balance. And we made those decisions and we came out stronger. You know, the second is my professional background. As a executive that has overseen about $9 billion worth of investments across the country, I bring a deep reservoir of finance experience. That came in pretty handy when we were faced with the turmoil back in the Great Recession. And I think the third thing is I am a small business person. Unbeknownst to a lot of people, my brother and I own a small business. We bought that business at the end of 2008, 2 weeks before Lehman Brothers collapsed and started the Great Recession. We know exactly what it takes to write checks, to cover payroll. We know what it takes to make decisions about your inventory, and we know what it takes to bring back customers. And I think those experiences are key and uniquely qualify me for mayor. As a professional, I was trained as a civil engineer at Georgia Tech. You know, another unique aspect is I actually spent the first 4 or 5 years of my life working as a construction engineer for a power company. So I understand what it takes to, generate power and to get that power from a plant to your household.
So obviously we're focused on the needs of the business community here at the Chamber of Commerce. What plans do you have, if you're elected mayor, to support the business community?
You know, as I mentioned, I'm a small business owner myself, so I understand a lot of the issues. You know, first and foremost, we're going to get through the COVID-19 issues. My business profession in other areas has been about retirement housing. I've been watching everything that's evolved in COVID, from getting personal protective equipment to the vaccinations, and there's a lot of hope out there. So we're going to get through that. I think the second thing is, what are you going to do to encourage the economic recovery and to make things better? You know, I think we've already taken big steps. You know, the city has allocated $500,000 to a team that is really spending that toward ultimate economic recovery. We should continue that. We should flex some of our operational regulations to allow us to get through this very unique and unusual time, and see if any of those flexing should become permanent. I think the other thing is we've got to make sure that we keep our public areas safe and pristine. When someone walks into an area and it feels and looks just pristine and clean, it adds to the image of safety, and we've got to do that. You know, I'm really happy that Commissioner DeCiccio advance funded a lot of our park space, and particularly our playing fields. And I think that will go a long way to, reinforcing the safety and the image of cleanliness that we'll have in our community.
Great. And question 3, what change do you most hope to influence as mayor of Winter Park?
You know, that's a fantastic question. That's at the heart of it. You know, what do you really want to change? When I think about what I'd like to accomplish at the end of the first 3 years, hopefully at the end of the first year, it's really a few things. Number one is make sure that we've communicated a culture that puts the residents first, that they are getting the transparency that they deserve, and that the decisions that we make from the dais make their lives better. You know, there's only 5 people in the city that really work for the residents, and it's the 5 people on the dais. You know, I think the second thing I'd like to change is the all or nothing conversation about development. I think it's not constructive, and that what we really should be doing is focusing on intensity. Let's focus on the degrees of development. I have not heard any resident that is opposed to development. What they're opposed to or want to really discuss is how much is enough and how much is too much. And I think that's really where the discussion should rest. It's not an all or nothing discussion. And if there's anything I can do, it's to change the vocabulary, get that vocabulary out, and really move it to what it really is about, which is, how much is the right amount for Winter Park that respects the heritage of the city. And then I think the last thing is, we should really use the pandemic's lessons to highlight where our weaknesses are and what we can do about those. I think about everyone that's working from home and the internet services and how can we make the internet provider more reliable. It's done a great job of highlight where the most resilient jobs are in any pandemic. And it's in healthcare, it's in education, it's in financial services. Those three kinds of jobs are the jobs that really are resilient to any kind of economic downturn. Let's focus on those jobs, knowing that we also have to support the retail and merchant group. Those fluctuate more through economic cycles, but they're really, really important to keep those core targeted jobs engaged. To have a place where you can take a client to a lunch or for a cocktail at the end of the day. That's really where I think we should go. Use the pandemic's lessons to make the city better.
Great. And then we have a final question,
Yep.
which is there anything else you want our viewers to know about you that we haven't covered?
That's a great question.
It's the bonus question.
The bonus question. I think what I'd love for the viewers to know is that, this is so I spent 13 years working for the Hyatt Hotel Corporation in Chicago. When Jim Seneff asked me to come down to Orlando to help start up a new real estate investment trust, I said, you know what? I've spent a lot of time at really big hotels. Can you put me at a bed and breakfast? And lo and behold, they put me at the Park Plaza Hotel. And that was in 1998. So the next morning, I wake up to be picked up for my interview. I walk out, I look up the street, and you've got these cobblestone streets running up, and it is nothing like what I expected in Central Florida. I fell in love with Winter Park in 1998 when I walked out from the Park Plaza Hotel, and I've been in love with it ever since. We've considered other places, and there's just nothing that makes us feel better about, the choices that we've made than choosing to stay here in Winter Park.
Great. I love it. Thanks so much for spending time with us.
Thank
and
you.
Best wishes to you and your candidacy, Phil Anderson. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Betsy.